Happy Tuesday, everybody.
On a Tuesday, got your girl in the cotton sheet.
It is Tristan with Element Wheels, and today I am here to learn y'all some lugs. Lug nuts, lug bolts, lugs. That's what we're learning today. We're gonna talk about the different sizes, the different thread pitches, the different types of lug nuts, as well as what are the most common applications for the lug nuts we're gonna be talking about. To begin, we gotta better understand the difference between a lug nut and a lug bolt. So let's start with the lug nut. A lug nut is designed for a vehicle with studs, meaning that the stud portion is actually protruding out of the vehicle. It's already attached to the vehicle's hub. And then this lug nut actually screws onto that stud to then mount the wheel on the vehicle. As for lug bolts are more of like an innie compared to an outie. The stud is an outie and the bolt is an innie. There's actually going to be a hole that you're gonna take this bolt and you're gonna screw that into, and that's actually going to hold the wheel onto your vehicle. And that's gonna be the major difference between these two. Now you're gonna see most of the time, the lug bolt is gonna be very common on European vehicles. Lug nuts are so important because without this little guy right here, you're gonna be having a bad time. These things are designed to hold your wheel onto your vehicle. And without this, you're gonna be having some major issues. Now, the reason that lug nuts are such an interesting topic really kind of boils down to the fact that most people assume that any lug nut or bolt is going to work with any stud, hub, or wheel. And that's not the case. Just like anything else, lug nuts come in a variety of different sizes and thread pitches that kind of determine how and where they're gonna fit in the best application for them. Lug nut sizes. Well, lug nuts come in a variety of sizes. Lug bolts come in a variety of sizes. What's meant for my vehicle? Well, pretty easy. You can find that information either one, listed in your owner's manual, and if you can't find it in your owner's manual, then two, give us a call. Call one of our expert representatives. We will definitely get you the exact size that you need. But let's go a little bit deeper and let's explain what defines size when it comes to lugs. The different sizes of lug nuts and lug bolts really kind of boil down to two defining factors, and those two defining factors are going to be thread pitch and overall length. Thread pitch is basically the distance between every individual thread on the lug bolt or in the lug nut, as well as the size of the thread. And that's gonna differ on a lot of different vehicles, so it's very important that you have the correct thread pitch. Now, the second factor is going to be the length of the lug nut or the length of the lug bolt. When it comes to lug nuts, it all depends on the vehicle, the type of center cap that you're gonna be utilizing, cars versus trucks. And then when it comes to lug bolts, really what's gonna decide that is going to be the overall sizing. If you're running a spacer of the sort, then you may go from a factory size lug bolt and then go up to an extended lug bolt to make up the difference of that spacer is creating. And that's really gonna be the two really only sizing options when it comes to lug bolts and lug nuts. Now that we understand the difference in sizes for lug nuts and lug bolts, let's talk about the different types of lug nuts and lug bolts that are available. The first lug that we're gonna go over is the most common factory option that you're gonna see. It is a mag shank lug. The mag shank lug looks a little bit different than most of the other ones you're gonna see. This lug usually tends to be a little bit larger. It's going to have a flat mounting surface on the bottom, usually with a washer as well, or a crush washer in order to be mounted onto your wheel. This is a factory style lug. It's not something that you're gonna see utilized on many or any aftermarket wheels. Maybe some, but definitely not a lot. Next up is gonna be the conical seat lug nut or conical seat lug bolt. And this is gonna be the most commonly used lug in the aftermarket world. This lug is designed with space in mind, as well as having a nice tapered seat, a tapered cone style seating. And that design is usually about 60 to 45 degree angle to make for a very good mounting surface. And because of the design of these conical lugs, usually they can fit in smaller lug pockets as well. Now we have ball seat lug nuts. Now ball seat lug nuts, although they look very similar to the conical seat lug nut, it is a little bit different. Sometimes offered on factory vehicles, sometimes offered on race cars, just a little bit different mounting surface. It doesn't quite have that angled edge as where it has a round edge. And that's gonna be available for certain types of wheels or certain types of applications, just another option that you're gonna see a little bit more common than most. Let's go ahead and touch on open-ended lug nuts as well. Although these are available in ball seat and conical style lug nuts, they're a little bit different. You may receive this in one of your packages and you may have the question of why. Why doesn't my lug nut have a top on it? Well, a couple things. Either one, the stud on your vehicle is too long and this will not work for you. Or two, you have a wheel that has a covered center cap. Any type of wheel that has a covered center cap, 99% of the time, a lug nut like this is not going to work. So you will need an open-ended lug nut because you need that clearance on top to ensure that that center cap does seat all the way. That way you can actually run the center cap. Last thing you want to do is have some wheels that the center cap isn't on. We also need to know the difference between a spline style lug and a locking lug. So here at Element, we offer spline style lug nuts. This is going to be the most commonly purchased option that we have. And the reason being is really a couple things. One, the fitment. With it being a spline style key, it does fit in most lug pockets, even the smallest of lug pockets. As well as it making a little bit of a safety deterrent. You need this key in order to remove your lugs, so it does help with deterring possible criminals looking at stealing your wheels, as well as kind of just gives you the peace of mind of having your own key for it. But there is one thing you need to understand. This key is a tad bit universal. You can find this at your local auto parts store. You can find this online. You may need to figure out exactly how many threads it is, but you're able to find this. You're able to lock this down. People can get their hands on this. And that's the major difference between this and a locking lug kit. The locking lug kit is an individualized key, and you can only use this key. Now, it's one lug per wheel. But this key right here is the only key that can unlock those. So if you don't have this key, or if the criminal doesn't have this key, he will have to break those lugs off in order to get them off. And now, just to say this, nothing can stop a criminal. So even at the best type of lug nuts, they're still able to steal your stuff. So don't get that mixed up. But it is a nice peace of mind, and it also does help with deterring because it will be a much longer process in getting your wheels off. All right, it's officially 2 in the morning. We just finished shooting this video. It's about take 694, but hopefully we've taught you a little bit about lug nuts, or maybe you understand lugs a little bit better. And if you don't, you already know what to do. Go ahead and look into that description. We've linked a couple links for you, as well as some phone numbers, emails, if you guys need anyone to talk to or reach out to regarding some questions that you have when it comes to lug nuts or lug bolts. Again, I'm Tristan. Please like and subscribe so I can continue doing this for you, and hit that bell notification so my video guy has something to look forward to. You guys have a good one. I'll see you guys again next week.